I'm putting the Professional from Benefit. This is one of my favorite primers when I need to kind of mattify my face down a little bit, because I usually like more of a dewy complexion, but if I'm using more of a mattifying kind of foundation like this one, I actually prefer to use more of a mattifying primer. It kind of increases the longevity. Okay, so I went ahead and did my eyes too. I filmed a tutorial on it, yes. So this whole face routine is pretty much drugstore, as promised. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of shake it up. The one thing I definitely hate about this foundation is the packaging. I hate that I have to do this all the time and it gets all grimy and weird and gross. I do use shade W7 at the moment, and it's Caramel Beige. Beige, whatever you want to call it. Beige. Sometimes I can get away with using W6. I do use Sun Beige in my what is it called, the liquid to powder one from L'Oreal. I can use that one in Sun Beige, but I prefer Caramel Beige. I'll show you why in a second, because as you guys can tell, I'm like extremely tan usually. I would say even in my outfit of the day videos from a long time ago, you guys have seen me with it, and I just prefer the more golden part of this color. Sometimes I'll mix them because I feel like Sun Beige is a little too beige for me, but yes, I can use that one too. I'm kind of in between most of the time. So I'm just using a Sedona Lace angled brush. This one is the 602. I don't know if that's really gonna matter, but I just kind of buff it into the skin. Like I dab a little bit and then buff it in. And as you guys can tell, it makes the skin look very flawless, very smooth, very even. I love this stuff. It is a very, not liquidy, but it's a smoother kind of consistency. It is a liquid. Kind of like, it's kind of similar in consistency to the Makeup Forever HD, kind of, but it's a little thicker, in my opinion, like coverage wise. The Makeup Forever HD, the beauty of that one is it's very liquid, but it's lightweight. So some people feel like this one's a little heavy for them. I personally don't. I actually really like it. Every time I wear this, I get compliments. Every single time. I'm not joking. Someone thinks that whatever I'm wearing is extremely high-end, and I'm like, it's L'Oreal. Like, I don't know what to say sometimes, because of course I wear it to work, you know, and sometimes I don't know what to say. If there were a high-end version of this one, I guess it could be the HD, but this one doesn't have an HD quality to it. Coverage-wise, yes, maybe. HD quality, sort of. But L'Oreal, I would say maybe it's comparable to YSL Touche Eclat without the extra glow and fragrance. Kind of like a mix of the YSL Touche Eclat and the Lancome Teint Miracle. Kind of like both of them combined. So, yeah. And I do love how easy it is to blend. As you guys can tell, it just makes my skin look uber smooth. Then I just take whatever's left on my hand and then just kind of dabble it in extra areas. And it does make me look, of course, a lot bronzier, a lot tanner. But if you guys notice, it blends really well into my neck. So this shade, particularly the W7, works the best for me in the summer. But I can get away with it like maybe from like spring to fall, like that whole area. I can get like spring, summer, fall, I can like kind of get away with it. In the winter, I use more of the W6 Caramel Beige. I think Sun Beige. So I'm using a really light hand when I buff this. I'm not like really getting in there. It looks like I am, but I'm literally just kind of buffing it in super light. Like, you don't really have to work too hard with this foundation. And that's pretty much it. And that's it. That's all that's on my hand. If you guys saw the amount that I put on my hand, it's about maybe a pump and a half worth. But I would say if there was a pump to this foundation, you could get away with a pump. Because I just use the extra like on random areas, but you don't necessarily have to do that. I just didn't want to waste it and put it back in the bottle. And then use a concealer of your choice, whatever you like. I personally like using something like the DoubleWear or the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. Something more on the liquid side. Sometimes I'll use the Pro Longwear, but it makes me look overly made up, so I don't always like to use it, but that's another option for me. You guys know I love that concealer, so I don't mind using that one too. And you guys are probably sick of seeing me do this, but just for those of you who are new to my channel, I always put concealer underneath my eyes just to clean up everything, especially since today I have more of a smoky eye, so I kind of usually use the concealer to kind of help shape everything and then extra highlight so that my smoky eye like really stands out. And then just kind of buffing this a little bit there, because I have like a little scar right there and I hate it. And then whatever mistakes I made from earlier with blending, it kind of just fixes a little bit of that. And then I just blend out the edges. The beauty about this foundation is that it literally looks like a flawless second skin, I guess you could say. And I just like to kind of blend, 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 blend. Love it. And then just to kind of upkeep with the glow, I usually grab my Sephora powder. Something that doesn't have a lot of color but still kind of like will set everything is generally what I would recommend for those of you who don't need a lot of coverage. So I literally just take a little bit of it and just kind of dab it in my T-zone area mostly, because this foundation covers so well. And then I just do like a really, really, really light buffing all over, just to kind of take away the liquidy feel, I guess, so that whatever powder I put on top, like my blush and stuff, doesn't like get all splotchy. And then of course I'm going to go ahead and do some kind of bronzing. I'm going to go ahead and use HOOLA today. My eyes are really intense, so I don't want to do something uber crazy. And just very, very light contouring, nothing uber heavy. Just a little bit, just to kind of add some dimension back into my face. So more bronzing rather than contouring, I guess. But as you guys can tell, like what a difference just a little bit makes. So just kind of putting a little bit right here on the hollows of my cheeks, and then brushing the extra like down here, just so everything looks more concise. And then kind of a little bit more on my temples, burn the hairline a little. And then for the sake of my eyes being all crazy, go ahead and grab whatever blush you want to use. I'm not gonna, you know, get all crazy with it. You could relatively use whatever you want. I'm gonna go ahead and use MAC's Cheeky Bronze. Usually with this foundation, just because it's so nice and glowy, I like to upkeep it. So I usually do grab something light like this, just because I like the glow that the foundation gives me. And I do like a little bit of a dewy appearance without the shine, if that makes any sense. Like without the shine as in like the greasy shine. So I just like to kind of use something really light. I used to always use Melba. I think that's what it was. Yeah, Melba from MAC, or like something like Improvise from MAC would be nice. Just something like this to kind of like do it up a little bit, you know, like little do it up. My only issue with this particular foundation is that I do get oily in my T-zone pretty fast. So I make sure to set my face and use a mattifying primer underneath. And I also set underneath my eyes for sure. Always, always. But another thing that I like to do is I like to definitely like kind of set in my T-zone with a translucent powder. So I kind of like to like tap it a little bit right here. And then I do it around my nose. Because sometimes when I get oily in my T-zone, it goes like around my nose, and then it kind of starts to separate a little bit because of it. So I make sure that in the areas that I get oily the most, I definitely set it just a little bit extra, because I find that this foundation, although I love it, I love the coverage, I love how it wears, it's beautiful, by like the 6th or 7th hour I tend to be a little bit more oily, and I don't know why. That's the only issue I have with it. But other than that, love this foundation. Great drugstore foundation, one of my favorites. And then again, to increase the longevity, I go ahead and set with the All Nighter. You can use MAC Fix Plus if you want to. It really doesn't matter. Either one, whichever. I just put some kind of setting spray. I can use MAC Fix Plus too, but something about using the All Nighter with this one, it just makes everything like last 10 times longer. So there you have it. That's pretty much my foundation routine using the L'Oreal True Match. I know that some of you guys were asking for that because I do use a lot of more higher end kind of foundations because that's just what I have access to. I do have a ton of drugstore foundations, but I don't think I've ever done one with this one, and I do intend on doing a review because I know some of you have asked me how I like this foundation. I thought I did a demo with the 3-in-1. I'll have to look back in my history and see. I can't remember. But if there's any other drugstore foundations that you've seen me talk about or use, let me know if you guys want a foundation routine on those, because I know not all of us can afford high-end foundations. Let's be honest here, right? Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you guys later.